we are going to break a significant national security story in this first hour on TrentoVision.tv and on WNN 1470 in Boca Raton, Florida. An article is being published today. I'm going to read you the title of the article.
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
We're good on the Skype end? Are we good?
Yeah,
Talking to you.
Yeah, we're good on Skype.
Okay, let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet John Guandolo. John, briefly give an introduction to the thesis of your work, and then let's really get into the details.
As it relates to John Brennan, there are a couple things that I think are important to say off the bat. And the first is, my contention is he's wholly unfit for government service in any national security capacity. And that would specifically make him unfit to be the Director of Central Intelligence for the United States. And I would break it down into three key areas that make him unfit for duty. The first is he has interwoven his life professionally and personally with individuals that we know are terrorists, and he has given them access to not only senior leaders inside the government, but has given them access to the National Security Council, the National Security Staff. He has brought known Hamas and Muslim Brotherhood operatives into those positions of government. He has overseen and approved and encouraged others to bring known leaders of Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood into the government in positions to advise the U.S. government on counterterrorism strategy as well as the overall quote-unquote war on terror. That's just the first part. The second part, I would say, is he has proven through his own comments publicly that he is clueless and grossly ignorant of Al-Qaeda's strategy. Now, Mr. Brennan himself says that Al-Qaeda is the enemy, which those folks who have read or aware of my work and Tom, the work we did with Team B2 report, know that that's not the total threat. But the first thing is Mr. Brennan believes the threat is just Al-Qaeda, which is problematic. And number two, even when he discusses Al-Qaeda, he does not know what he's talking about. So he's ignorant of that enemy, their strategy, and how they operate. And then third and finally, which some would say is most disturbing, is Mr. Brennan did convert to Islam when he served in an official capacity on behalf of the United States in Saudi Arabia. And that fact alone is not what is most disturbing and makes him unfit for duty. What makes him unfit for duty was his conversion to Islam was the culmination of a counterintelligence operation against him to recruit him. And the fact that foreign intelligence service operatives recruited Mr. Brennan when he was in a very sensitive and senior U.S. government position in a foreign country means that he is either a traitor, which I'm not saying, but that's one of the options, and he did this all willingly and knowingly, or he did it unwillingly and unwittingly, which means he is naive and does not understand. He has the inability to discern and understand how to walk in those kind of environments, right, which makes him completely unfit to be the Director of Central Intelligence.
Man.
Wow.
John, 888-565-1470 if anybody wants to get in. John, if I understand you correctly, you just said, and I know you qualified it with the conversion to Islam back in Saudi Arabia, I guess in the 80s or 90s. We'll get into all of that. We want to dissect this thing. Isn't the main reason. He happens to be a Muslim. But are you kidding me? The head of the CIA is a Muslim? I mean, for real?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
We can talk about that as you would like.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah, let me now. You mentioned Team B2, and that's 19 of us, and yeah, we're both privileged to be part of the amazing group of national security experts. And I mean, did you run this by anybody? I mean, are you sure of what you're saying out there? Because none of us feel like being waterboarded or audited or anything crazy like that. We got enough problems, but if we're going to be saying definitively, and I mean, the other side is going to say, "Show me the evidence, show me the evidence, show me the evidence." You're comfortable in your analysis, your research.
Yes, I am. It's not really research. This is the facts of the matter are confirmed by U.S. Government officials who were also in Saudi Arabia at the time that John Brennan was serving there, and have direct knowledge. These are men who work in very trusted positions. They were direct witnesses to his growing relationship with the individuals who worked with the Saudi government and others, and they witnessed his the conversion, his conversion to Islam. Now, as you know, this shouldn't that in and of itself, again, shouldn't be shocking to people, because Mr. Brennan has made public statements. As a matter of fact, there's an article that was done by Jihad Watch that came out, I believe, yesterday, but it may have been a couple of days ago, where Mr. Brennan, I mean, they have the clip where Mr. Brennan specifically says during a public address, which, by the way, this speech he was given was sponsored by the Islamic Society of North America, which is, the leading Muslim Brotherhood entity in North America and a Hamas support entity, Hamas being a terrorist organization. And so he said during that speech that he has learned and gets his understanding and his worldview in large part from Islam.
But for more than 3 decades, I have also had the tremendous fortune to travel the world, and as part of that experience, to learn about the goodness and beauty of Islam. As a college student in the 1970s, I spent a summer traveling through Indonesia, taking in the wonderful landscape, culture, and people of Java and Bali. Despite my long hair, my earring, and my obvious American appearance, I was welcomed throughout that country in a way that is a reflection of the tremendous warmth of Islamic cultures and societies. Like the president during his childhood years in Jakarta, I came to see Islam not how it is often misrepresented, but for what it is, how it is practiced every day by well over 1 billion Muslims worldwide, a faith of peace and tolerance and great diversity.
So it shouldn't be a large leap to imagine that he's converted to Islam. And again, I don't think that is, although I think to a lot of your listeners that would be big and shocking news, I think the news is that conversion was the culmination of the work of people in Saudi Arabia who worked for the Saudi government. And that makes John Brennan just naive, foolish, dangerously ignorant, and totally unfit for this position.